So the big question is this: how do young men like us, who didn't listen to society, who are on our own, how do we grow and improve ourselves so that we can live a better tomorrow? That is the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is James Radzinski, and welcome to the Ascend Momentum Show. Welcome back, everyone. So this morning I told my parents about my trip to Florida. Now, I promised my mom that I wouldn't speak about them on the podcast, so I just want to say that things are going forward. Things are moving forward. And this today I feel is a turning point. Two things can come out of it. Either I go down a bad route and I don't achieve my goals, or I keep moving forward and I do achieve my goals. And this quote popped up in my mind from Reality Transurfing today, and it's that nobody can stop you except for yourself from achieving your goals. Now, I may have butchered that quote, but that's the gist. You're the only one who can prevent yourself from achieving your goals. No one else can prevent you. So, if I interpret today as good, then I can move towards my goals. But if I interpret it as bad, then that will be how it plays out. So I went to the gym and then got a good lift in and went on the sun deck and started tanning, which I don't normally do at the gym, but I just needed the extra meditation time, the extra sun time. And it was a very nice day outside. So I just sat in the sun and bathed for a while. And that definitely helped clear my mind. And then I saw one of my friends who graduated last year, who I didn't think I would see ever again, and who I probably won't see ever again. And it just reminded me to be happy, because that was a very nice interaction that I had with one of my friends today. Let me get some water. So I made an executive decision today, and I've been talking over the past couple of weeks about how I'm studying 2 books at the same time. Now today I realized that I am not going to be studying 2 books at the same time. I'm cutting out Expert Secrets and solely focusing on Reality Transurfing, because I feel like I'm not getting the most out of each book. I'm kind of just dividing my attention and dividing my focus or memory amongst the 2 different books, and it's just worse off for overall. So I'm only focusing on Transurfing right now, and then once I'm done with that, I will focus on Expert. And the reason why I chose Transurfing over Expert Secrets is because Transurfing is more of a holistic success route. Expert Secrets is how to have success through becoming an expert online and marketing and storytelling. But Transurfing is more of a general life. It's a worldview. And I would just, if I had to choose one book to be a master of, I would choose Reality Transurfing. So yesterday, once I was done recording that podcast, I listened back and I realized that my speaking sounds very anxious. And I gasp a lot, like I talk and then I like breathe in a lot. So I'm trying to stay conscious of that because it kind of is really annoying to listen to, and it hinders your your listening experience. So that's what I'm trying to be conscious of. I'm not really sure if I should breathe through my nose or breathe away from the mic. I'm not sure. I'll figure it out while I go. But back to transurfing. There's one thing that my friend talked about. He's reading one of Vadim Zeland's other books about transurfing. And he said that if you can be present for 20 minutes, it'll change your life. That's what my friend said, Vadim Zeland said. And I believe that because there's a lot of times where you're not present and you're not awake and you make mistakes and you do things that you regret and you do things you shouldn't have done or wouldn't have done if you were sober in the mind. And so that's what I'm really focusing on lately. And I just realized that I haven't asked myself, is this real, in a while. Yes, I am awake right now, but that's the thing. I was asleep just then while I was speaking. Now I'm awake. And the cycle repeats. I'm not sure how long I can stay awake for, but it's definitely not 20 minutes. And that's just what I'm practicing. I'm just practicing trying to stay awake more often. And I'm not even sure if there's a technique or a practice method to do it. I'm kind of just brute forcing it and just reminding myself to stay awake every single time I catch myself when I'm asleep. So tomorrow is Monday, and I have school tomorrow. And in my gym class, we are in a kayaking unit. So we're basically kayaking in the pool, which is very fun. A lot of people don't like that unit, but I like it. It's my favorite. And honestly, just moving forward, today was a tough day, and I'm not really sure. It's just one of those days where it's a turning point, and today is the day where I need to really focus on transurfing and hone in on my presence, stay awake, because today is a turning point for sure. I can either go down to a negative lifeline or go up. And it's really my choice. No one else can choose for me. You get what you choose in life. So I'm choosing. It's tough because you are supposed to just choose. But when you're in it, it's a lot harder than it seems when you're out of it. Right now I'm in the heat of it. The heat of the day, the heat of the moment, in a turning point, and it's a lot harder to choose my destiny than it was yesterday or this morning. And I just have to look for the positive. I just remembered, look for the positive. So what's a positive thing right now? Well, a positive thing is I got a lot of sun today, so I got more tan. I probably got like 4 hours of sun at least today. And then another thing is I have a brand new microphone, which sounds amazing for my podcasting. So I'm very grateful for that. My dad gave it to me for absolutely free to borrow indefinitely until someone needs it. Another thing is that I have a water bottle that keeps the water cold right next to me. And speaking of which, I'm going to drink some of it. Already, just by describing 3 things that I'm happy about, I already feel a lot better. So I'm going to keep it going. Well, it's really hot out today. It's probably like 90 degrees out, and I was sweating on the bike ride home. And then I got in the house, and it was nice and cool. So the AC's on. I'm very happy about that too. That's very let's go. That's a nice thing. Another thing, what else am I grateful for? I'm grateful that I have nice clothes. My mom buys nice clothes for me. And I'm very grateful for my parents because they're providing for me. I promised my mom I wouldn't talk about her, but I'm sure she won't mind this. I'm very grateful for everything my parents do for me. They are really just looking out for the best of me. And they're just trying to get me. They're just looking out for the best of me. That's very comforting to think about. It's very comforting to lie on. So that exercise actually worked a lot. I actually feel a lot better now. I think I'm going to write that down right now because every time I'm mad or in a bad mood, remember, what should this exercise be? I don't want to say like gratefulness, because I used to do gratefulness exercises and they never really worked, but for some reason today's worked because I just looked for objects that I was happy about. The happiness technique, the happiness practice. What should I call it? The happiness ritual. I like that. The happiness ritual. I'm going to write that down and put it on my desk so I always remember it, just in case I am down. The happiness ritual. All right, I wrote that down. I want to keep doing that. That was nice. So I'm happy that I was still hot, even though I got into that air conditioned house and I took off my shirt to make it even cooler, and now I feel cool. I feel perfect temperature right now. So that makes me feel good. Another thing I'm happy about is I'm on episode 32 on my podcast, and I'm very proud, but pride is not great. I'm very happy with what I've done so far. I'm very happy with my progress and how I've gotten through 32 episodes on my podcast. That is a very nice feeling. I'm happy that things are moving forward and I'm in a lot better position than I was a month ago. And I'm a lot better position now than I was a year ago. And things are just getting better every single day. I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful that I'm learning about reality transurfing, and the more and more I practice the techniques, the more and more I learn about it, just the better life gets. And I'm so grateful that I discovered that book. And the way I discovered it was actually, it's surprising. So when I was first getting into reading, I was still watching YouTube Shorts, which is basically TikTok, but just on YouTube. And I was trying to, I don't remember what I was doing that day, but I was on the hunt and the lookout for new books to read. I was always looking for new books to read. And I was just watching YouTube Shorts one day, and there's this guy named Iman Gotzi who popped up, who I'd seen his videos before, but not too much. And then he suggested, he kind of just said casually, "Oh yeah, I read that book when I was 17," and I don't even remember like how that video went, but he pretty much just said he read that book when he was 17. And so I was like, "Oh, I'll try it out. I'll pick it up." And I remember thinking that he just suggested that book, but not really. He just casually said it in a conversation. And I saw the picture. And I was like, "Oh, I'll go check it out on Amazon because I need another book soon." And I remember typing in reality transurfing into the search bar on Amazon. And I remember seeing the price tag, and it was $50. And I was shocked because I was kind of like, there's no way I'm buying this. There's no way I'm paying $50 for a book. But then something kind of just clicked in my head, and I just bought it anyways. And then it came, and I saw there was like 750 pages. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big book. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So I read it. I read maybe the first 200 pages, and then I got distracted. I got bored. I didn't see the gold that I was reading. So I looked for new books to read, and I went back on Iman Gotzi because the benefits that I got from the first 200 pages of the book were a lot. And I was a lot better off that I read that. But I kind of just dismissed the rest of the book, and I was like, "Oh, I already got the gist." And then I went back to Iman Gotzi, and I saw another shorts a YouTube short video that he posted. And it was 3 books that he recommends, and it was Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida, and Atomic Habits by James Clear, I think. I didn't read Atomic Habits, but I bought The Way of the Superior Man and Meditations, and then I started reading those. Very good books. I didn't finish Meditations all the way through. It was just kind of, my brain wasn't smart enough to interpret all that stuff. So I kind of just got to book 4 and then stopped reading because I just didn't get value out of it at that time. I got more value out of people telling me what to do and what to think. And so then after that, I just kind of stopped. I was planning on going back to transurfing right after, but then I went on to a different book. And then I just met my friend Franklin, like for real, because we had known each other before, but we didn't know that each other were on self-improvement. And so I just met him basically, and we both found out that we were on self-improvement, and he was wondering what the next book that he should read. And so he looked at my reading list, and I showed him, and then he was like, "Oh, reality transurfing? That's interesting. I've never heard of that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's all right." And he was like, "Would you recommend that to be the next book?" And I was like, I'm not sure. And then I basically said no. So then we both went on with our days, and then the next day I was thinking about that, and then I went back to transurfing, and I realized how beneficial that was, and how that is literally that is the most important book ever. And so I was like, I told him, yeah, definitely get reality transurfing. And so he was hesitant on the price as well, but he ended up buying it. He bought the hardcover, so he spent like $30 more than I did. And then when I told him to read it, it inspired me to go back and reread, just finish reading it. So I went at the end of every chapter. There's chapter summaries. So I reread all the chapter summaries of the pages that I already read, and then I got back to where I was, and then just finished the book from there. And mind you, we were both reading it very fast. So we both wanted to get through that book quick so we could get to the next book. And we were doing like 50 pages a day, which is a crazy amount. It's a lot, especially on that book, especially because, one, the pages are big, words are small, and you have to think a lot when you're reading that stuff. So we were reading 50 pages a day, and when you do something like that, pretty much all of the information just goes right through your head and you forget about it. But we got some vague concepts out of it, and then we both finished reading it, and we just went on to the next book. And then after a little bit of this, maybe a month, we realized that Transurfing is the most important book. We realized again that Transurfing was the most important book. And so then we went back to it. We started rereading it. And then this time, instead of reading 50 pages a day, we started studying it and not caring about the amount of page numbers. And that was a big game changer for us. We actually started understanding it and linking it to things, and we started conjecturing our own hypotheses, and we just made a lot of connections and progress in our Transurfing journey. And we're only on page maybe 200 now. I'm on... He just started Intention, and I just finished Intention, which is maybe chapter 7, I want to say. It's not out of like 15 chapters. I think it's chapter 4 or 5. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We're pretty much in the first third of the book still. Maybe we're just getting into the second third. And so we're not even that far in. We just are reading the beginning so far, and it's already changed so much. It's changed the game for us. And I also wanted to read Expert Secrets as well, so I decided instead of rushing through Transurfing, I would just read them both at the same time. Transurfing in the morning, Expert at night. And then after maybe 1 or 2 weeks of that, it was not good. It was just, I realized that it's not efficient. I think I actually did it for more than 2 weeks. I did it for 19 days, actually. And it's just not as efficient. So I'm solely focusing on Transurfing. And every single time I get impatient, I just have to remind myself to focus on Transurfing. And Transurfing is the key. I'm going to get some water. So, my last push day, around 3 days ago, maybe 4 days ago, I didn't push my chest. I didn't lift my chest that much, and now I'm getting antsy because tomorrow is my next push day, and I'm lifting my chest hard tomorrow. Do you guys ever get like that where you kind of slack off 1 week and then the next week you can't stop thinking about it, so then you go hard the next week? Because that's what I'm doing right now. I kind of feel my energy levels drop again, and it reminds me of, well, I was going to originally do the happiness ritual again right now. But I just thought of something, and I remember I've read 2 books on breathing, The Oxygen Advantage and Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art. And I know that my breathing is not optimal. And I saw a email from this company called Herbal, some herb company. I forgot what they're called, but I bought pine pollen from them, and then I gave them my email, so they've been emailing me, and I keep reading the emails because they're very good at email marketing. So it's good material to study. And they sent an email today that I assume someone paid to send that email because it's not their usual content. So they sent an email about breathing, and it reminded me they basically told us to take a test, which they didn't call it this, but I remember reading about it in the Oxygen Advantage, which is called the Bolt test, to test your Bolt score. And it's basically where you breathe normal in and then breathe out normally. It's just how you normally breathe. And then on the exhale, you hold your breath, so you don't breathe back in. And then you count how long it takes for your body to want to breathe again, for your next desire to breathe. And you shouldn't be holding it so long that you're convulsing. You should hold it until you need your next breath. So what that means is, let's say you do it in, out, and then hold. And then by the time you need your next breath, you should be able to breathe back in at the same rate that you were breathing normally. If that makes sense. And pretty much what that test does is it checks to see how healthy your breathing is, how optimal or efficient your breathing is. Now, when I took that test the first time, when I was reading the Oxygen Advantage, and mind you, the Oxygen Advantage was my first book that I've ever read that was self-improvement. And the first time I got it, I think my score was 5, like a 5 seconds. And reading the Bolt score, he said that what the healthy person should be at was way higher than 5. And I'll tell you the time in a second. I just want to say something real quick. And so I started doing exercises to increase my score. And then I kind of just stopped. And then yesterday, I got an email from that Herbal Empire or Herbal Medicine. I don't even know. That company I was talking about that I bought my pine pollen from. And it was basically a guy promoting his webinar that was teaching how to breathe properly. So I signed up for the webinar, and it's on Thursday at like 4:30. So who knows if I'll get on it. If I do, I'll watch some of it, but not till 7:30 when it ends. Or no, I think it ends at 7. I don't even know. But it reminded me that when I read that email, they were telling you to do the Bolt score. So I did it again, and yesterday my Bolt score was 7 seconds. So a 2 seconds improvement after a whole year. And you know what they said, what your healthy time should be for the average healthy person should be at least 40 seconds. So I got 7 seconds, and it should be at least 40 seconds. Now, I'm pretty sure I read a similar thing in the Oxygen Advantage. It was either 40 seconds or 60 seconds. So it just reminded me that my breathing is not good. And today I was thinking about it a lot throughout the day. It was popping in my head. And breathing oxygen is our most used element. Oxygen is our most consumed element. We need to breathe. We can't go like 1 minute without, or we can't go like 10 minutes without oxygen. And I'm focusing on food and sleep and water a lot, but I'm neglecting oxygen. Water, we can go like a week without water. Oxygen, we can't even go 15 minutes without oxygen. Most people, I'm talking about most people. And food, we can go like 2 weeks without food. So that just goes to show how much, if oxygen is our most used element, it should be our most efficient, and it should be our priority for figuring out how to make optimal. Because I'm spending a lot of time making my water intake optimal, making my food intake optimal, but I'm neglecting oxygen, which is the number one most valuable, or the most consumed element, consumed nutrient. I don't even know if it's a nutrient. But do you guys get what I'm saying? I'm saying that we're breathing 24/7, but we're only drinking water like 8 times a day, 9 times a day. We're only eating like 3-4 times a day. But we're breathing 24/7, constantly, nonstop. And so I'm kind of on the edge of whether I should figure out how to breathe properly and focus on it or not. And the pros and cons, I was thinking I need to focus on business. But then I realized that this will actually help me if I can figure out how to breathe properly, and then always just every time I am conscious, breathe that way. Then that will actually help me move towards my goals, because the more conscious you are, the more, what's the word? Basically, the more purpose you have, and the more optimal, the more efficiently you're living, I guess. Being present is required for the transurfing practice. And so if I simply just spent maybe an hour watching that video and figuring out how you are supposed to breathe normally just throughout the day, and then I just focus on breathing like that every single time I'm conscious, then it'll be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll be getting conscious more, but I'll also be fixing my breath. And I really can't see a downside to this, but I don't know. I'll decide. I want to talk to you guys about the neck exercise. So there's this neck exercise that my friend, who's a bodybuilder, 30 years old, he told me and Franklin about. I've talked about it on this episode before. It's basically where you do like curls with your neck. Have you guys ever done the bridge? It's a stretch kind of thing. It's where you hold yourself up with your hands and your feet, and you bend your back, and then you just make a bridge with your body. It's kind of like a gymnastics move. I used to do it all the time in gymnastics when I did it when I was really young. And then, but you're supposed to, with this neck exercise, it's basically you do the bridge, but you don't hold yourself up with your hands. You hold yourself up with your neck, and then you like move your neck up, and then down, and that's like 1 rep. And so I'm able to do 10 reps, maybe. Yeah, around 10 reps. And that guy, Alex, he's been doing it for quite some time, and he's able to do 3 sets of 50 reps holding a 10-pound medicine ball. So he is definitely quite ahead of us. And he said we should be able to get to 30 reps before we add a variation to the neck exercise. So basically the variation is, instead of moving your head up and down, you move it side to side. And I tried to do that this morning, but my neck was too weak and I kinked my neck and it like cracked. But I stretched it immediately and it was fine throughout the day. It's a little sore, but it's okay for the most part. So if you want a progressional events for that neck exercise, do the static hold until you're strong enough to do reps, and then do reps. And in the beginning, I had to do a static hold, but I also had to hold myself up with my arms. So I had to use less weight than my full body weight because I was helping myself with the arms. And then I was able to do a static without my arms, and then I was able to do reps. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm able to do 10 reps. And I've been doing this for maybe a week. And the next step is to get to 30 reps. And then once you get to 30 reps, add the variation where you go up and then you do like a side to side. I don't really know exactly how to do it. Once I get to 30 reps, I'll have to ask him in person and figure out how to do it. And then once you get to that, I'm pretty sure you just focus on that again and then get to 30 reps with that. And then you add a medicine ball somewhere in there. You like hold on to a weight. It doesn't have to be a medicine ball. Just like hold on to a weight. 10 pounds. And he does 150 reps. So that's great. That's a lot. I don't think he does it every day. I think he does it every 2 days maybe. So 1 day on, 2 days off. But I've been doing it every day because I'm able to recover pretty quick. So I might as well do it every day. I'm going to do the happiness ritual again. Now, I'm really happy that this morning when we went to the park, me and my friend Franklin went to the park, and then Alex was there as well. And so we went on a walk just around town, and there was this one house that had a peach tree with ripe peaches. And so we're like, oh, don't mind if I do. And so we all took a peach. And that was just a very amazing moment because I'm very grateful that I got to have a fresh peach. So that was awesome. And then they were also growing grapes on their fence. So we got some grapes as well. And they were not normal grapes. I think they were actually normal grapes. And then what we eat is not normal grapes. But the grapes that they had on the fence had like 4 seeds in them each. And there was like a jelly texture center. But they were really good. Really good. And so we kept walking. And then we got a lot of sun. We were just walking around town shirtless with bare feet. And so it was just 3 jacked dudes walking around town shirtless and barefoot. So then we went back and we were almost home. And I remembered seeing earlier in the summer that there was this one house in the alley that was growing grapes in the alley. But they were not ripe, so I never got to try them. And then I told them about that, and then we decided to go down into that alley and try and find the grapes, and we got some, and they were good. So today was a good day. We got grapes, and we also got peaches. So that's something I'm really happy about. I'm very grateful for that. Another thing that I'm very grateful for is I got so much sun today. I'm so grateful that it's still sunny out. because I know very soon the sun is just going to disappear for the next 7 months. Because I live in Chicago and that sun just disappears. And I get very pale during the wintertime. And so I'm very grateful that it was just very sunny out today. And I was shirtless all day. So I don't have a farmer's tan. I was shirtless pretty much all summer. So I don't have a farmer's tan, which is perfect because tomorrow is the first day we kayak. So I'm going to be shirtless in school, in the pool. So that's nice. Jacked, tan. What could go wrong? Absolutely nothing. And plus, we're walking across the field house shirtless because our locker room is on the other opposite side of the field house, which is basically our gym, from the pool. So we're all going to be walking across, and I'm tan, so that's exciting. But I'm also very grateful that me and my friend went to the mall yesterday and took some action and talked to some girls, because that's also very good. And it was hard still, but it was way easier than the first time, like significantly easier. So the next time we do it, it'll be way easier than today. And at that point, it'll probably be not as beneficial to do it. So we'll have to figure out the next thing to expand our comfort zone, which may be once we get to Florida, walk around like the pool shirtless and talk to some girls in bikinis or something like that. That might be the next thing. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'm very grateful for that we went there yesterday, because if you remember the other day, I was thinking a lot about this one girl that I saw at school. Just she kept on popping in my head for some reason. And then once I took action at the mall, she just didn't pop up in my head, so that's very good. Now I'm more in control of my head. So I think once you take action, then everything just dissipates and you have control again of your mind. And once you kind of daydream and fantasize, I want to talk about this one thing that I reread in The Way of the Spirit Man. So while I was journaling, that girl kept on popping up in my head. And so I was journaling. I was like, I got to fix this. I got to figure this out. So I went back and reread a couple chapters of The Way of the Superior Man. And I realized that I was doing it all wrong. When I saw that girl, I would always just either fantasize, or I would let all that energy go to my genitals. Now this section is going to get pretty weird, but hold on with me. But what you're actually supposed to do is you're supposed to accept that energy, all that gift. Like, you know, that feeling that you get when you see a very beautiful woman. You're supposed to accept it and then breathe consciously and use your breath to circulate that energy all throughout your body. So you're supposed to bathe every single cell in your body with that energy. And that basically increases your energy. And that's what spirit men do. Spirit men do not let the energy build up in their heads or their genitals, but they circulate the energy all throughout their body. And I feel like that's why I kept on thinking and fantasizing even after the fact, because I failed at circulating the energy. So now, in the future, as long as I remember to stay awake and consciously circulate that energy throughout my body, I predict I won't be like obsessing in my mind over that girl. So that I'll let you guys know if that theory is true. My prediction is it is true because it just makes sense. I'm going to get some more water. So I believe it was yesterday in my podcast where I was talking about staying awake, and in reality transurfing, Vadim Zeland says, ask yourself, is this real, at least 10 times a day. And that was towards the middle end of the chapter. And I believe that he was actually saying that to reduce the number so he didn't scare off the listener, the reader. Because towards the end of that chapter, he actually said that you should be asking yourself, is this real, every single minute of the day. So you need to be conscious 100% of the day. And if you're asking yourself, is this real, every single minute of the day, that's over like 10,000 times. I don't even know. Probably not. It's over like 200 times. That's all I know. So it's not 10 times a day. It's 200 times a day. So every single day, you're not going to be able to get that 200 or 300, whatever the word is, or whatever the number is. Here, let's actually do the math. So I'm asleep for 9 hours a day. So that leaves 15 hours. So 15 times 60. What's 15 times 6? 15 times 2 is 30. So 30 times 3, 900. Is that right? No, 90. So I think there's 900 minutes in the day. So instead of 10 times, you have to ask yourself, is this real, 900 times a day, at least. So I probably ask myself, is this real, maybe 15 to 20 times a day, depending on the day and depending on how much time I spend with my friend. That's right now. So in 1 week from now, I should be at least 100 times a day. I need to be every single day. Well, I'm not going to set a time expectation, but every single day I should be asking myself, is this real, more and more, and just limiting the amount of time in between each conscious awareness. So then eventually the time gets so small that I'm just conscious all day long. That's the goal with transurfing practice. And plus lucid dreaming, I haven't had a lucid dream yet. Yesterday was the first day that I was consciously focusing on it. It was either yesterday or the day before that I was consciously focusing on lucid dreaming. And I'm not going to lie, today I kind of fell off. I was still asking myself, is this real? But the thing is, every single time I remember that question, I routinized it. And I would instantly do the dream test, which is to look at a word and try and change it to a different word. Try and change the text. And so I always would just instantly try and change the word to a different word instead of asking myself, is this real, consciously? Which is an issue because it needs to be fully conscious. And in reality, I keep thinking like there's not enough time in the day to do this, and I'm just going to be wasting the day. But that's just an excuse. There is so much time in the day. And plus, you do this while you're living. This just allows you to live more purposefully. So there really is no excuse to be conscious 24/7. So if I invest all of my energy towards this, or at least a big amount of energy, I will definitely see some results and progress. Because there was also another quote that I just remembered in the beginning of transurfing. He said, remember that every moment you spend practicing the transurfing. Every moment you spend doing the transurfing practice is a moment spent, or is another moment. Wait, no, sorry guys, I'm absolutely screwing this. Every moment spent practicing the transurfing technique, you are consciously moving towards your goals. Just think about that. Every moment spent practicing the transurfing techniques, you are consciously moving towards your goals. So since being awake, being conscious is a transurfing technique, you are consciously moving closer to your goals. But if you're asleep, you're not necessarily moving closer to your goals. So that's why you want to optimize your day and become awake 24/7. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen eventually if your intention is strong. I'm going to get some more water. So this is episode 32. And I haven't been looking at my analytics in a while, and I'm not planning on looking at my analytics until next month at least. I haven't set an exact day, but I'm thinking maybe September 10th, and today's August 20th, to put it into perspective. So on September 10th, I'll look at my analytics and see, and I'll make a plan from there, because once I turn 18, I'll be able to open a bank account for my business. And if I start on the 10th, that'll give me 7 days to prepare for a bank account. And that's basically where I'm at in my business right now. And I kind of, after today, I have to make money soon. But it's also like, I can't expect money to come, because it's this whole thing. So I just have to focus on myself and focus on the transurfing and not worry about the game. That's really what that's all about. Don't worry about the money. It'll come. Just focus on getting towards Florida. So I'm noticing my energy levels are down a little bit more. And back to what I was saying about the breath. In his marketing, the email that I read about breathing, actually he said that having more efficient breath and breathing, you actually get more energy. So that's huge. So I think it's actually worth looking into. I'll figure it out. But my energy levels are down right now, so I'm gonna look for things. I'm gonna do the happiness ritual again, and try and figure out what in my surroundings I'm happy about. Well, okay. I just thought of this. I record my podcast in my basement, and I'm very grateful that I have a spot in my house. I'm actually really happy that I have a spot in my house that I can record, and it's relatively quiet. Because I remember in the beginning, first couple episodes, I was struggling to find a spot, and I even went outside to the park and recorded in a tree. That was one of my earlier episodes. So I spent around 15 minutes in a tree, barefoot and shirtless, just recording my podcast. So I've come a long way from then. And I'm very grateful for me recording in the basement when it's relatively quiet and there's no distractions. I'm also very grateful that I got this. My friend gave me a bar of soap that is homemade, and it's just made from beef tallow. And it's probably one of the best bars of soap I've ever used. I really like it a lot. And we were talking about, my friend noticed that I had back acne today while we were walking. And so Alex recommended that I actually wash my back with my soap. And that's something that I never do. But I think I'll start doing that. See what comes of it. So I'm very grateful that I learned that piece of information and knowledge and it was brought to my attention. I'm very grateful that I get to go to the gym, a very nice gym, whenever I want, and I have my own bike, which is very nice. So I can take myself there on my own, not have to worry about the car. That's very grateful. And I'm grateful that I live like 2 miles away from it, so I'm pretty close. It's only like a 10-minute bike ride. And I'm actually grateful that I'm in school right now because it's giving me a lot of practice staying awake and staying indifferent from pendulums. Today is a good day. Today went well and the world's really taking care of me. I'm looking forward to the future. The future's looking promising. I'm actually kind of excited. I'm really grateful that it's sunny out, but in the beginning of summer I was dreading the fact that it's going to change to winter. But then I quickly realized I got to stay present and accept the fact that it's summertime and it's awesome. But I was looking for reasons why wintertime is good, and one of the reasons is that it's cold. So you get a lot of cold exposure. The water pipes get colder. So the cold showers get colder. So that means that your discipline gets stronger during the wintertime. And plus at my gym, there's a balcony, a turf balcony where you can just go out. And today I went out to tan. But I remember last winter, there was this dude that was just meditating out there in the cold, maybe 0 degrees, and it was snowy. And he would just meditate out there. And after a little bit, I joined in, and he told me that it was the Wim Hof method that he uses. So I looked it up, and then I ended up doing the Wim Hof method. So I do it every morning. I do the meditation every morning, and I do cold showers. And so I'm excited for the winter time because I'm trying to practice my Wim Hof meditations. So that's something to look forward to in the future. One of there was another thing I read in Transurfing, and it's that if you focus on two goals at once, you'll achieve neither. And it's because you're trying to swim in two opposite directions in the alternative space, basically. And that just won't work. And so I dropped the Hawaii thing and I'm only focusing on Florida. And then once I achieve Florida, I'll focus on the Hawaii thing. But that's pretty much where I'm at, what I'm looking forward to in the future. And I'm sorry that every 5 or so, or every 7, I don't know how often, but every so often I have low energy episodes. I just want you guys to see that I'm not always super upbeat every single day, and that there are down days and low days. To wrap things up, don't forget to download your favorite episodes and subscribe to the Ascend Momentum Show. But before you guys leave, make sure to remember the Eagles.